so we can get to the groups. Let's see if we live. Folks, yes. It's Friday, man. Let's see if we get live yet. And welcome. You're watching and tuned to Let the Truth Be Told Radio. I'm your host, David L. Lowry Jr. It's Friday, folks. It's Friday, and thank God it's Friday. We got a good show today, folks. We're going to recap on the week, and we're going to talk about some of the things. We're going to talk about the elections. We're going to talk about just making sure, we live, bro. We're going to share it around to our groups, and so we're going to talk about early voting and making sure people understand they need to get out to vote and so forth. So it's going to be a great show. We got Mr. Bink in here, and we got a lot of good information we're going to put out today. We got a lot of good stuff that we want to talk about. And we're going to talk about the parental bill with Senator Murray last night. That was a great one, man. You know that, Bink? Let me hear you say something.
Yeah, that was good.
That was a good show. Yes, that was an extra show. And folks, like I said, y'all can go catch us at TECNTV.com, TECNTV.com, Total Exceptional Conservative Network. Y'all can catch us there live. And if you don't get us on Facebook, we're also live on YouTube, David L. Lowry page. Y'all go check it out. Y'all can tune in to Facebook because we're Facebook Live as well. And we're going to talk a little bit about the elections. You know, it's early voting. We want to make sure people understand they need to get out to vote. And people lost their lives to the chance to vote. So we want folks to get out to vote. It's a Friday. Y'all come on in. Like I said, we're sharing it around to our groups. And we got a good show. We got some good conversations we're going to talk about. We got great topics. So if you ain't got nothing to do, y'all call your friends and let them know. Y'all got 5 minutes before Let the Truth Be Told Radio is on. And we're going to get it in today. It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. I know folks are running around. They winding down. People trying to get ready just to sit back and chill. Hey, and that's what it is. That's what you do on Friday. So in the meantime, in between time, y'all get together. We got a great show. We're going to do a little follow-up, recap the week, so people can know what's really going on here in the state of Illinois and what's going on across the country. And share it around. Come on in, share it around. Let folks know about the show, all the good information that we give out. And it is about that time, though. It's about time. So, folks, y'all come on in, share it around. And we got a good show. Got a great Friday show for you. Yes, sir. So y'all chime in. Partner, I understand what you mean by doing it every day. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
Man, what you talking about? I'm flat.
Yeah.
It takes energy out of you. Yeah, it does, folks. When you come on, you do these shows, I mean, it will drain you out by the end of the week if you're doing them every day. But that's okay. We're doing it for the people, the American citizens, and we're doing it for patriots across this country. Because if we don't do it prime time, they're going to give you the wrong information. And I think we just done had enough of all this wrong information stuff. So, folks, y'all come on in, share it around. It's Friday. Let's get it in. Tomorrow, Saturday. And we got a special announcement coming up. Boy, we going to be doing some things tomorrow out of Texas. And that announcement will be made with our television show, TECN TV. We're going to be covering a lot of we're going to be covering the Trump rally tomorrow out in Rob, Texas. But anyway, we're going to get that information out there because we want to see what's going on so we can report it. Our TV station will be there in Texas at the rally. I will be a commentator, and I'll be relaying to the folks what's going on and what's going to be happening out there because there's going to be a big rally out there. And I want folks to tune in and check it out. We got to hear what's really going on because we can't do it no more. I just cannot see how we can continue the way we're going. The country is going in such a bad direction right now, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better. You know, the Joe Biden pissed the Arabs off, and so now they're going to cut productions on oil, and they're going to, raise the prices of our gas over here in America again. So we're going to talk about a few things, folks. So y'all chime in, Share it around, and we're going to get it in 2 minutes. Yeah, bro. I'm telling you. I got up this morning, man. I went to the gym. I was just like beat. I was like, okay. But we got a great show, folks. We're going to do this show. It's Friday. It's Friday. It's Friday. And we finna get it in. Y'all share it around. Got a good show. We're going to talk about the parental rights bill, too, a little bit, that we talked about last night with Senator-elect Murray. She gave a lot of good information, and that bill is something that can restore parents' rights. And I think that is very much needed, people. Yeah, we're gonna touch on that. We're gonna recap the week. So it's all out Friday, y'all. We can do whatever we want to talk about. If y'all want to call in to the show and talk about some things, I'm gonna put the call-in number out there that you can call in, and you can go ahead. That's the number right there. You can call into the show, and we can discuss whatever you want to discuss. Like I said, it's all out Friday. Partner, we getting close to that time. 1 minute away. I'm gonna set you out.
As usual.
And we gonna get started, folks. Nah, really. Folks, thanks for tuning in. You got us here at Let the Truth Be Told Radio. And we got a good show. We're trying to get everything set up so we can get to going. And let's go.
We don't need to be affiliated with nobody's party. We don't, because Democrats haven't done a damn thing for us. And the Republicans haven't done a damn thing for us. Right. We need to have our own independent black party. That's what we need. We need our own party. No more waiting for J.B. Crystal and the rest of them clowns to do anything. Now, I'm going to say this. We going to the polls. Good seeing you. We going to the polls. Now listen to me closely. How many people out here suffer during this pandemic? Not a pandemic, but a pandemic. How many people suffer? All of us. Everybody. You still suffer. So what I'm saying is this. We, the people, need to get together. We're going to start this black political party. We're going to recognize the power. It's about America right now. It's about black people. It's about 265. It's about no economic development. We built. It's about areas of That's right. Taking out the dollar. That's what this is about.
Hey, welcome, y'all. It's a Friday night. And y'all, let's get ready to rumble. We got a great show. We're going to recap the week. We had a great week. We had a lot of information that we put out there. And we're going to recap that. We had elect Senator Murray on the show last night. But if y'all ain't got nothing to do, y'all call your friends and let them know you're listening to Let the Truth Be Told Radio. I am your host, David L. Lowry Jr., and the name of the show is Let the Truth Be Told, Let the Truth Be Told. I'd rather for you to hurt me with the truth than come for me with a lie. Y'all, come on in. Let's get it on. Let's get ready to rumble. It's Friday night, and we're going to get it right, y'all. Got a great show. Y'all tune in. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. No matter where you're at, you're in tune to Let the Truth Be Told Talk Show. Folks, we got a great show. We're going to recap the week. We had a strong week. We had a lot of good guests on the show this week. And we want to follow up on some of the things that we we felt that it's necessary that the American people and patriots across this country should know. But first, let me give all praises to God and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And let me hit it. Good morning, Vietnam. Welcome. And so, listen, we're going to talk about the parental rights bill. We're going to go in depth a little bit about that because that bill is going to make a big difference in the country. It's going to make a big difference in our school. We're going to talk about this governor's race here in Illinois. The debate the other night was just horrible. It was on some stomach. So if you ain't got to do, let me bring my guest on in here, Mr. Binky. What's up, Mr. Binky?
Hi, Dave.
Hey, brother, how you doing today?
Still going.
You ready?
Yep.
Now, Mr. Binky, give me your thoughts on that debate. You know, we had a show the other night, but tell me what you thought about that debate. That we watched a little bit?
Well,
Between Fred Flintstone and Bernie Rubble.
I seen a governor sit there on the run that told every lie that you could possibly tell, not answer questions, and Bailey basically just had him all aggravated. So, you know, Pigster really showed his true colors. You know, he really did.
Well, you know, when I was watching it, I watched the debate, and I think this show is about early voting, and I know people are out going to the polls right now, and they're voting, and I'm telling people, let us not be emotional when we vote. Let us look at the values of each candidate or each party, what the party holds, and I think that should be the way that we should come in when you're talking about voting and going to the booths to pick a candidate. We have to research, because if we did the research, then we would know who we was voting for. And I think that has been a drawback because, especially in the Black community, we've been voting one way for so long, and they've got so accustomed to getting our votes that they feel that they don't have to do anything to keep the votes. And so that's why we are in this trouble in the community. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Now, when I was watching the debate, I try to watch people closely. And as J.B. Pigster was talking, he never would give a straight answer. And I thought that's a trademark of a person that throws the rock and hide their hand. I mean, the commentators was asking him direct questions, but he wouldn't answer the question. But he would start talking about stuff all around. Then he started pointing the finger at Bailey and said he's lying. So we never could get anything definitive out of him, and he never would honestly even tell the truth. I think that if he gets back in, I think he's going to see an opportunity to try to run for president, and I think he's going to finish destroying the state of Illinois, and he's going to run off for the presidency. What you think?
There's no way, in my view, if he even thought about running for president. Yeah. Nobody thought that brain dead Biden was going to be president, but look what they did to that. But there's no way, absolutely no way anybody could put any faith in Pigster. His track record of ruining this state and taking the rights of the people away, shutting businesses down and stuff like that, that's too obvious. He might try, but he ain't going to go nowhere.
Well, you know, the kick is about this election is, and they continue to make the statements out as if Mr. Bailey has not built a relationship in the city of Chicago with a lot of the Black neighborhoods, and so that's one of the things and I think he sort of feel confident that he hasn't done that, and he think that he's going to win. I think both of these guys have not done. I think both of them has not done their due diligence to really get the voters to understand their platforms. Both of them so far have been pretty much slinging mud on each other. And to the American people and patriots across this country, that's what we're seeing. I've been seeing commercials for all the different offices, and nobody is actually talking about or saying that okay, this is what we're going to do to fix the country. These are the steps that we're going to take. These are the strategies that we're going to use. None of these candidates, under any circumstances, have said anything positive about what they're going to do to get this country back on track. Now, I have to call a spade a spade. That's just like here in Illinois. We got Alexis Junilis, who is running for the Secretary of State. And I wanted to say this the other day to a lot of the people out there listening. And this is the reason why there's so much bad stuff and there's so much corruption. And listeners, folks, listen. There is nothing honest in America anymore. Nothing. The sports are not honest. They cheat there. They cheating in the churches. They cheating in the voting booths. They're cheating everywhere because of the stakes are so high, especially when you're talking about the president of the United States. Both of these parties have failed the American people. Let's just be for real. They failed the American people. And because the American people have not held them accountable, they will continue to fail us. And until we decide that we're going to do something different, and that's what we're here for the midterm elections for. That's why on this show, we've been telling people, do your research. Find out who you're voting for. Find out what their values are. And find out what platform that you're trying to take to achieve the goals. And you got to admit, those who are watching this election, those who are watching these commercials, nobody is saying what they're going to do, how they're going to get the country back on track, but the continuation of mudslinging. This one did this one did that. And so I think that is a tactic that's used against us so that we would get disenchanted and just say, well, you know what? Let's pick the lesser of two evils. And if we already know what the guy in office is going to do, so maybe we should just keep him, or maybe we should give the other guy a try. And either way, the American people are going to lose. Whoever gets in office, we're going to lose if we don't hold them accountable. Steve?
No, I got more faith in the Black community up in the Chicago area. I think that what they've gone through for the last 2-3 years, between what Pigster's done and what Beetlejuice has done up there, the state's attorney, what's her name, Fox? Yeah, I mean, Jesse Smollett, come on. He made the Black community look like fools. Jesse Smollett.
He did.
All by himself. Made it look like blacks were all racists or part. His lying to go after Trump and the supporters of Trump. So between all that stuff the last 2 or 3 years here, I think the Black community in Chicago's had enough. And I think there's going to be enough there that's going to make a difference. I mean, I'm looking at it that way, I think.
Well, you know what? I'm hoping that the Black community wakes up, because we've lost so much. We don't have anything in the Black community that belongs to us. I mean, it's a war zone. There's no economics. And this is what I don't understand, and that bothers me the most in my community, is how do we keep doing it? And this is for my people, Black folks. How do we keep doing this thing to ourselves? How do we keep allowing, people like Joe Biden, the Donald Trumps, the Kennedys, the Obamas, the Clintons? How do we allow these folks to continue to use us, to get into office and never do nothing? That's the saddest thing that I see in my community, because after this election is over, after the midterms are over, and I do have deep concerns, if the Democratic Party continue to hold both houses and the presidency, that is when the American people, if they haven't seen enough, and I'm talking to the American people and patriots across the country, if you don't go to the polls and remove this current administration, if you think that the last 2 years under the Biden administration is bad, if they continue down this road with total control of the Congress, the presidency, the senators, man, I'm telling you, you don't want to see it. If you think that they're going to back up and they're going to restore parental rights to the parents so they can go back into the schools and deal with their children and the teachers, if you think that they're going to stop with the mandates, because see, they're already planning stuff beyond this election. And that's why I'm telling the American people, nobody's saying nothing, but you can count on this. This election will be stolen right under the American people's nose if we don't pay attention. The Democratic Party, they're recycling candidates. That means that they don't have anybody. The Republican Party now see that they have been wrong. They have not been into the Black community like they should. And yet, even though the Republican Party values equate to what a lot of Blacks have been through, Blacks have got in their mind that the Republicans are rich and they hate Black people. And that is totally untrue. So we have to really break down the myths and the lies that these politicians tell us to try to get us to hate one or the other so that they can get into office. And I'm giving these examples because I'm telling you, we cannot afford another 2 years under Joe Biden and this leadership who are turning the United States into a socialist country. If they have their way, they would right now take all the money and they would digitize it so that they can account for every penny that all of us work for. See, that's not what they're telling us. They're telling us that they want to digitize the money for better access and more security. It's kind of like the lie that they told when Barack Obama said that he wanted to give gays a right for them to collect the insurance benefits if they would have marriage, okay? And then we know what happened after that. When they got the right to marry each other and the law was passed the same sex to do that, then they went into other areas. They went into the schools to indoctrinate the children. They went into the TV to just psychologically just make it seem normal. All of these things they took to a next level. So if we don't be careful and pay close attention to who we put in office this time around, another 2 years under this administration and the American people, if we allow them to get back in, this is on us. You can fool us once, shame on you. But if you do it twice, it's shame on us. And if we don't take a stand at these midterms and get all these people out of here that have lied to us, now they're all in our families, they're taking control of our lives, they're mandating stuff, they're using the American people as guinea pigs. All of this has happened under the current administration, using us for guinea pigs. I mean, you name it, it has happened to us. And yet, here they are at midterms begging and pleading for us to give them votes so they can get back in office, so they can finish destroying the country. Mr. Binky.
Well, now what the Democrats are doing in this state, have you heard about that's going to be on the ballot called Amendment 1?
No, explain that to us.
It's called the Workers' Right Amendment. It's supposed to protect workers' rights and stuff. That's not.
I heard about that. Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, that's not what's going to happen. Not only has the Democrats assumed power over us and our lives and our money and has taxed the heck out of us, now they want to give the union the ability to do what they want to do, and it's basically put on our backs, and the unions won't have any control by the government.
So let me get this right. So basically the government owns the unions anyway. Is that correct what you're saying?
Yeah, the big ones.
Yeah.
The big unions, not
AFL-CIO, United Auto Workers.
SEIU, stuff like that. These big unions that are in this state, yes. Because when Rauner was governor, the Democrats were trying to shove through in bills that that protected and gave union all kinds of stuff. And he said, no, I'm not. You're going to take this out. You're going to clean this bill up, or I'm not signing it. And then they would override him or veto him. Then they turned around and said it was his fault. It was his fault. So that's the whole thing. I'm pulling out this amendment.
But that's to the American people though. I mean, we go through this every 4 years and every 2 years for the midterm, and it's like we always end up having to accept the lesser of the two evils, and that's how they play us out. They play us that way because that way, they know that they're going to still have a stronghold in, because a lot of people will assume that, the incumbent person will get better. Well, if we keep him in office, he get better. But it's not. It's not getting any better. And the people in this country know and see that the country is not getting better. It's getting worse. And all these other things are being pumped into our lives. And it's going to be up to us to make a difference. What you got there, partner?
This is for Amendment 1. I don't know if you can read it or not, but
it said, I read it. You can read it off to us. Read a little bit of that off.
Amendment 1, it's disguised as a tax referendum that will cost the average Illinois home $2,100 a year. Remember, our debts are with pensions, and these pensions are coming because of the unions and stuff, or the Democrats, the politicians stealing, taking, however they put it. But it's going to increase our taxes, property taxes. It's a power grab, transferring power from your elected representatives to state union bosses. This is where the union's going to get protected, that they can do whatever they want. This is another overreach of power. It gives state union bosses unlimited bargaining negotiations over unlimited subjects like school curriculum, masking, mandatory vaccination. See, they can make the rules up, not the lawmakers.
That doesn't make sense. You mean to say they're trying to pass a law that will allow the unions to make laws on our behalf or on their own behalf?
They'll have the control. This is an amendment to the Constitution of the state.
Oh, wow.
So they've got the power to make decisions on the schools, because who's the teachers? The union.
Yes, you. Yep. You're right.
And who created all the problems the last 2-3 years?
The unions with Beetlejuice.
Unions. So this bill is going to give them even more power that nobody can control, not even the parents, because it's in the state constitution. And the last one here is it says it's an anti-business, anti-taxpayer, a blank check to government unions, and shouldn't be passed. And that's exactly what it is. I mean, Dave, if I give you all the money in my pocket and don't give you any limitations, what are you going to do with it? You'll spend it the way you want, and then you'll come back and guess what? Well,
want some more.
I need more. And this gives them the power. Our property taxes will be never ending.
And partner, I'm so glad that was the perfect example for me to talk about this new parental rights bill. Folks, if you missed the show last night, we had State Rep Dan Coughlin on, and we also had Senate-elect Kathleen Murray on. And she has drafted a bill called the Parental Rights Bill. And it's the same bill that Governor DeSantis in Florida has used, that he has signed into law. And what he did when he did this, he gave parents, listen to me closely, the law that's in Florida gave parents their parental rights back. Because see, what we've done, we went to sleep and we've allowed the same-sex laws to enter the schools, and they basically took parental rights away from the parents. They have laws right here in Illinois that make the schools as a surrogate parent when it comes to dealing with your children. And that's the reason why that our children are so confused is because they're teaching them one thing, you're trying to teach them something else, and yet they're getting confused on who to believe. So that's why the schools now are teaching your children to hate you. They're teaching your children to lie to you. And that's why we had Senator-elect Kathleen Murray on last night, and we talked a little bit about the parents bill, parental right bill. And I'm going to read a little bit off this. Says, and this is a quick summary of the bill, and this is why I say parents need to really get out to vote and support this bill, because God gave us rights over our children. We had these kids. We have to take care of them. We have to feed them. We have to clothe them. We have to do all of that. So how is it now that if they go to a school that we pay the teachers to look over our child, to teach our child how to read, write, math, science? That's what the teachers are supposed to be there for. Teachers are not supposed to be there to assume the identity of the parents. Excuse me. And that's what has happened here in Illinois and across the country. These schools now that we fund have taken over parental rights of our children, and that's why they're implementing all the things that they've done. That's why you see all the homosexuality and the pedophilia and the porno stuff in the schools, is because of the new curriculum, and teachers are teaching it. But this bill, a quick summary of it is, this bill actually gives parents their right back. And that's really a damn shame that you have to get your rights given back to you as a parent about your own children. And the summary of the bill is put in like this: parents, not the government, have the authority and responsibility to raise their minor children according to their values, to determine the appropriate time to introduce sex-related topics, to make decisions for the physical, emotional, and mental wellness of their child, and to control the transition from childhood to adulthood. Now, my question to the American people is that, why do we have to have a new law? Now think about this, use common sense. Why do we have to have a new law to be implemented that has to be passed on by the legislators to give us control over our own children? That doesn't make sense. How did we as parents lose control of our children just because they go to a public school? Mr. Binky?
I can answer that.
I'm waiting on you.
Right here in our state constitution. Right here.
You want to read it to them?
Our preamble, and this was confirmed by Judge Grishauer last year on one of her decisions of letting Pegster continue with some of his executive orders. It says, people in Illinois, get you a state constitution, and you got to read this stuff. This constitution is like a Bible. If you don't read it, you don't know what's in it.
Exactly.
So the preamble is, and I'm just going to read probably half of it. It says, we the people of the state of Illinois are grateful to Almighty God for the civil, political, and religious liberty which he has permitted us to enjoy, seeking his blessing upon our endeavors, in order to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of the people, maintain a representative, orderly government, eliminate poverty and inequality, assure legal, social, and economic justice, provide opportunity for the fullest development of the individual, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, to secure the blessings of freedom and liberty to ourselves and posterity, do, ordain, and establish the Constitution of the state of Illinois. What that's saying is, 4 words, in order to provide, took all our rights away from us and placed it into the hands of government to provide for our health, our safety, welfare, those 4 words. And this preamble was put on a ballot to be approved by the people of the state of Illinois.
When was that done? I don't remember that.
Well, this is part of the 1970
Oh, okay.
Constitution. We gave, by our voting for an amendment to go into the Constitution, they changed the preamble, and we allowed them in order to provide for us. There's where our problem originated.
And when they did that, they gave them authority to make decisions on our health, the welfare, and all those items that you read off.
That's right.
But see, this is what I'm talking about, and this is why the American people, we are in this trouble. It's because we trusted the people that we elected. We trusted them to do and have our best interest at hand. And we don't find out about these things until something happened like COVID. And then when we feel that, when we are hoping that the politicians are going to look out for our best interest, they don't. They look out for their own best interest, and they start implementing things to protect the interests that they have. And that's what's killing us, because now it's like parents don't even have control of their own children. It's like the government controls our children just because they're going to a public school that's being funded by you, the taxpayers. We're funding the government. We're paying their salaries. And yet they're causing all these problems and destroying our families. And why? Because of control. This is nothing but a power grab. And that's what we keep telling folks. We shouldn't have to have legislators to write a parental rights bill to give parents their rights back. We shouldn't have to do that. These are our God-given rights, our children. We don't need somebody to say, okay, well, we're going to get your kids in school, but then we're going to take over them, and then we'll tell you what to do with your child. That's where it's all screwed up at. And we've given this government too much power. We've given these elected officials too much power. And we can see right now what they did with COVID, how they did in the schools, how they did with the mandates, how they treated us, how they closed our businesses down. There is no way on the God's green earth that the American people should be in this condition, especially when the politicians are supposed to work for us, the American people. Mr. B?
Yeah, it's all under the guise of your health and safety. And the CDC yesterday just approved 15-0 to take this experimental drug called COVID-19, approve it to be put in to recommend the states have it for a child immunization schedule. That means they're recommending parents or the states to put this into their state immunization schedule. These kids do not need this stuff at all. And we're just going to sit back. Now, I've been on the phone all morning calling the representatives here in Illinois. They need to stand up and say enough's enough. And this should be part of, I hope Miss Murray, and I'm pretty sure she's probably on this, as you talked about. We've got to fight to keep our rights. And now the CDC is going to tell the states to put this in a childhood immunization schedule. No, that's between the parents and the doctors.
Yes.
For them kids. State or federal government has no authority, no reason to sit there and tell us that they're going to put stuff in a schedule of immunizations or your kid can't go to school.
Well, that's just too much overreach for me. You know, and the American people should be just tired of this overreach, demanding things from parents about their kids, demanding things with laws that affect us that are no good for us. I mean, this is where the rubber is hitting the road at, and this is why I'm saying to the American people, we have to stop it right now. We have to be able to get back control to us. We have to take our power back from these politicians because they're not going to give it back. And the sad thing of it is they're study creating laws to protect themselves. We don't know about it until they screw up, and then we start holding them accountable. And then they said, oh, wait a minute. You can't hold me accountable because we passed the law that said that you couldn't. See, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. The deception, the hiding, the passing laws without even going to the public, having town hall meetings. Before legislators should pass any laws, they should be brought to the American people. We need to look at it. We need to examine it, especially if it's about us. It's about our lives. It's about our children's lives. It's about the economy. It's about our jobs. All of the things that we've seen from the legislators has gone rogue because they shouldn't pass a law without it being brought to the American people, and the American people have the final say on whether it becomes a law or not. And we've lost our power, and that's why we're in this trouble. And this is why I'm saying we have to change it, because here in the midterms, if we don't change it and we don't take the Democrats out of total control to the American people, we're really going to be screwed. We're going to really be screwed because they're going to keep implementing the New World Order. They're going to keep implementing things that's not conducive for us. They're going to keep implementing things to harm our children, like what they're doing with all this transing stuff, that giving them medicines, hormone shots. All of this should be illegal. You should not be able to give any children any medical attention without it coming to the parents first. And we've lost our power. This government now is doing that. And that's why we come on the show to let parents know what our rights are, what we have to do. And what we have to do now is that we have to address these issues. We have to start holding school boards accountable. And we have to really, really be careful, because this is early voting. And don't think that they're not going to cheat. I hate it when people think, oh, well, everything is honest. Let me say this. If this country would use a pandemic to kill people and thin the population out, lock up our seniors in nursing homes and use them for guinea pigs for an experimental drug, lie about the whole thing, close our businesses, knowing that it was all totally illegal. If we don't understand and don't see these things, this have already happened to us. Everything they did with COVID was totally illegal. There was nothing legal about it. And so we allowed it to happen. We didn't, what we should have did, we should have had an insurrection before January 6th. That's what we should have done. And the insurrection should have came to the voting booths. That's what the insurrection should have been. We should have went already to the voting booths. We should have already voted out all these clowns. Joe Biden shouldn't be the president because he ain't did nothing but destroy the country. Kamala Harris, where is she at? Where's the barmaid at now with the knee pads on? They're not even talking about it. They don't even call themselves people anymore. They call themselves pronouns. So this is the wake-up call to us. If the vice president and the president of themselves, Joe don't call himself a man, and he's not. He's nowhere near being a man, all right? Kamala Harris doesn't call herself a woman, but they're calling themselves pronoun, just like the lady that got on the Supreme Court. What's her name? Steve?
Which one? The black lady?
Yeah, the Jackson lady.
Yeah.
When they was nominating her and they called her, asked her what it was, she said she wasn't a woman.
No, she wasn't a biologist.
Well, what the hell that mean?
She said she wasn't a biologist.
Oh, that means she couldn't, if she's not a biologist, she couldn't distinguish the fact that if she's a woman or a man. That's what she was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
You see, that's what I'm talking about, folks. That's the kind of stuff that's in the schools today. She should have never got elected to the Supreme Court. But see, what happens is Joe Biden played the race card. That's how he did that. First, he played the race card and said he hated black people, created the crime bill, locked black men and women up in record numbers. And now, just think about that. He just elected a Supreme Court judge that's a woman that says she's not a biologist, so she doesn't know if she's a woman or not. You guys can't see the pattern? That's what they're doing to your kids in school. They're telling your kids they're not boys and they're girls, but biologically, they're just it. And that's why we're having problems. That's why these 15-year-olds out here watching these video games, they don't have nothing in their mind. They can't hardly read or write. They can't have critical thinking. They're out here on Grand Theft Auto, stealing people's cars, killing people from the video games. Hell, they don't know if they're going to go to jail or not. They think that if I kill somebody, I'm just going to get out. I got another life. When you kill somebody, you go to jail. So all of this confusion is not coming from the homes, but it's coming from the schools. And as you can notice, there's been a lot of mass shootings now with kids 15, 16, 12 years old want to commit suicide. That's because of the conflict of information, and they're at the age where they don't know who to believe, whether the school or the parents, and that's what's screwing our children up. And that's why we're seeing the mass shootings, and that's why we're seeing our children acting the way they're acting and trying to treat the parents like they own them. Mr. B?
Remember what Barack Obama said, I'm going to fundamentally change the United States.
Yeah,
He's
he did.
changing it from one nation under God to one nation under government. Because whatever government creates, it controls. So they're taking God out of us, and they're putting them in the place. Samuel Adams back in 1772. The founding fathers, they knew from history why countries and civilizations failed.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to give all men the same thing. Now, there'll be people to argue about, well, not the black man, but no, they wanted all men.
Right.
Okay. And what he wrote out an essay. It was called the Rights of the Colonists. It was from 1772, and he called it was among the natural rights of the colonists are these: first, to life; second, to liberty; thirdly, to property, and together with the right to support and defend them in the best manner they can. That our property is our kids. That's our property, not government's. And as you said, why are we now having to have laws made to protect the rights of parents? That's we sat back and we was negligent.
Yeah.
Silence is consent. And every time they did little bits and pieces of putting this bill to that bill and adding some more to another bill, they created a big ball of mess. And because we sat back and didn't pay attention to what they did, they slowly eroded our liberties, our choices. And now they came and got our kids.
And man, that is the most. Our children are the future, man, and that's the scary part to me, is because of the attack in the school system. You know, it's like we have to indoctrinate children now to make them think that homosexual lifestyle is normal. All of these things that's happening right now in the country, in our schools, in this country, in these borders, they should not be happening. The American people should not be going through this right now. We shouldn't be fighting the government to keep our kids safe and knowledgeable. We shouldn't, because they work for us. And this is the biggest thing that bothers me, is that every day that we see the news, we see the government study lying and BSing people. They say one thing and then do something else. So where does that leave the American people? That leaves us in a position that when something happens and then they pee us off, and then I'm telling you folks, if we don't change the direction of this country, and I know a lot of people feel like I do, I'm just going to keep it 100 with you. I'm not going. I am not going. I'm not putting up with the crap from the government. They're not going to change my life. They're not going to take my kids. I'm not. And I know it's a lot of Americans out there, whether white, black, or whatever, feel the same way. And the only way that we're going to make this change is we're going to have to stand up to this government and just say no. That's it. We had Chris Ann Hall, a constitutional lawyer, on the show about a month ago, and we're going to be bringing her back, Steve, real soon. And she told us all the American people have to do, even with COVID, when COVID came, all we had to do was just say no. No, we're not going to shut our business down. No, you're not going to implement any new laws without our input. All we had to do was say no. But when we allowed them to use the emergency and create the fear that they did, look what happened to the American people, and look what happened to this country. Because we didn't say no, they closed our business, they closed the churches, they took control of our lives, they made damn fools out of us. They had people riding around in cars talking about graduation parties.
Birthday parties.
That was totally ridiculous. Telling people that you can't go into church no more. See, that was all that satanic stuff. That didn't have nothing to do with COVID. That was a satanic move. That was the Sodomites' move against the church. Well, we don't want you in the church because if you get too many people in the church, you don't catch COVID. But see, that was some bullshit because right now you can have COVID and be around people. To the American people, we should be up in arms and we should be really, really pissed off because we got played. We got played all the way to people being forced out of their jobs when they knew that it was illegal to do that. We got service members who was put out of the service with dishonorable discharge because they wouldn't take an experimental drug. Now they saying it's okay to have COVID. They still passing the jab on us. They have made complete fools out of the American people, and we still haven't done nothing to them. We have to do something to them. Let me say this, and y'all will know this holds to be true. When I was coming up, I had a guy, and I ain't gonna call his name. He was a bully, and I was in 6th and 7th grade. He took my money every day. Every day he would come, and then lunch was 32 cents. He was much bigger than me, and I would just go ahead every day and give him my 32 cents, and I would go without lunch. Then when I got home, I had to explain why I was so hungry, but I was afraid to tell my dad what was happening. And one day I was just so hungry, I wanted to take my lunch money and eat. And so when he came to take my money, I had made a choice in my mind. Am I going to continue to let him take my money, or am I going to knock the hell out of him and fight him for my money? Well, to the American people, the government is that bully. And they've been taking our money for a long damn time now. And I think that the American people, we need to have another insurrection for real. But this insurrection need to go to the voting booth. We need to knock this bully out. I ended up knocking that bully out. And I'm saying it because of this. Had I not been starving, or I was such a bad shape that I was so hungry that I had to eat, that it made me fight for my lunch money. And I'm telling the American people right now, we're fighting for our lunch money, which are our kids. We're fighting for our lunch money, which is this country. We're fighting for our lunch money, which is the Constitution and the rights. We're fighting for our lunch money for the God-given rights that God gave us as human beings. And I think right now, we need to punch this bully in its effing face and knock it out. And we do that by going to the polls and knocking them off the ballot during the midterms. Mr. Binky.
Yeah. Well, if people haven't learned in the last 2-3 years, then they're never going to learn. You know, you ain't got nothing. You have nothing no more. And if you keep on just ignoring the fact that what government's doing is wrong, then there's no hope. So when you go to vote, make sure that you understand that vote it's about your life. You either vote for your life or you're going to vote for their life, because they're living pretty good while we're struggling. They've got good pay. They've got $5,000, $10,000 fundraising dinners they go to. They've got a good retirement. They've got good health care. And what do? We pay for it.
And
So,
it really we do it. And think, this is why I'm telling America, think about this. We are the employers. The politicians are the employees. Now, as a business owner, there's no way under God's sun that I will allow my employees to come in and take my company over and tell me what to do. That's what the American people are experiencing right now. We're experiencing the employees who work for us telling us what we can and what we can't do, and they don't even own nothing. And guess what? The most saddest part about it is we paying their salaries every week. The whole past COVID thing, they never missed a pay period. And think about it. They never missed a pay period. They gave themselves raises. Then they didn't even want us to give us a stimulus check. And it was our money. Just think about that. These are the people who are supposed to work for us that have taken our company and taken it over themselves and forcing us to do what they say that they want us to do, and yet we're the owners of the companies. Mr. Bing?
Yeah, well, it's simple as that. We created government, and if people can't read a declaration and understand that, then I'm sorry. We are where we are because people don't want to pay attention. They don't want to read. They don't want to understand, learn history. Our founding fathers did all this for us. They gave us all this freedom. A lady questioned Ben Franklin. Well, you went to a meeting. What did you get us? Well, I gave you liberty if you can keep it. I mean, they gave all of us everything. We had bad apples back then, and we've got bad apples now. But we have the opportunity. We do, through our understanding, our learning, our knowledge, and sticking together. White, black, Latino, Asian, I don't care. Education doesn't come with a color. It comes with the effort. And we all understand what the proper role of government is, then we all stand together. As they say, when people fear government, you have tyranny. When government fears the people, you have liberty. An army starts with one man. That's all it takes, one man to start an army. So when people start educating themselves and start feeling the pain, I guess that's where people are going to start figuring out how to learn, educate, and get some knowledge about it. I don't know.
Well, Mr. Binky, and to the American people, the patriots across this country, I know darn well we feeling the pain. We feeling the pain. The American people is feeling the pain. We feeling the pain with $8 a gallon for gas. We feeling the pain when they ain't got food on the shelves. We feeling the pain when we don't even control our children. We feeling the pain when we don't control our households. We feeling the pain. I know the American people feeling the pain. I'm feeling the pain. Everybody that own business is feeling pain. People who had jobs, we feeling the pain. But now that we feel the pain to the American people, what are we going to do to stop the pain? That's what we need to be focusing on. We need to stop the pain. We need to stop the bleeding that we're doing all over this country, and we should not be bleeding. We should not be fighting for the rights of our children. We should not be fighting the government to keep the Constitution. We should not be fighting these job opportunities that we have to take shots for. This is the United States. This country was built on freedoms. The freedom to speech, religion, freedoms to own arms, freedoms. This country was built on the Constitution and the freedoms that it's brought. And if we allow the government that we pay them, if we allow this government to take our freedoms away, because what they're going to do is continue to change us. They're going to continue to put us on the plantation in the mine. See, they're not worried about black folks right now. The government not worried about black folks because they feel black folks right now are in a place where they don't fight, they don't say nothing, they just go along with the program. See, but now the same government is after white America. And that's why it's so important right now that white Americans and black Americans, Hispanic Americans, it's important that we stand together now against this government and get it back under control so that the future of this country can be bright again. Because this country is going to hell in a handbasket. If we don't turn around from here, if we don't reinstate the fact that God gave us rights, marriage between a man and a woman, if we don't bring back the family structure on the way it used to be before all of this, before the Biden administration got in, because now that they're in, hell, we don't know what gender is going around. But if we don't get back in control, then they're going to continue. This is not going to stop. This will if they get back in office, they're going to go to the next push because they're on a schedule. They're on a schedule to meet, 2025? They have to be at a certain place. And then at 20.
You had Agenda 2021, Agenda 2030, and there's an Agenda 2050. This is all created for sustainable living by the United Nations.
But how the hell are the United Nations going to go? See, this is why I don't understand. I'm an American. I'm an American citizen. How is the United Nations is going to make policy for the American citizen?
To sell out of the Democratic Party.
See, I don't get that. I don't get how any party could get with the United Nations and then the United Nations tell the American people what we can and what we can't do. I don't get that. I don't really see that, man.
It's a treaty.
You know what?
It's a treaty.
If I'm not, you're a historian, right?
Well,
I got a question to ask you. When the country was divided about slavery and other things, wasn't there a civil war?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So there was a civil war between the North and the South about how things are supposed to go, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I would think about it like this, and I'm not saying anything for no violence or anything, because no, I'm not at all. But I can guarantee you this. You can have a dog, and it can be the scariest dog in the world. That dog will see his shadow, and he'll jump up and run off and holler. But if you push that same dog into a corner and you start beating it, it's coming out of that corner, and it's coming to get you. And so I'm saying to say this government now is pushing the American people into a corner. They're bullying us. They're taking our kids. They talking crap. We paying their salary, and they telling us what to do. They're pushing the American people in a corner. And when a country gets divided like that, it's called civil unrest. And to those who are pushing, the government pushing, the homosexuals are pushing, you're not going to like it when the American people and patriots in this country start to push back. I'm not condoning any violence, or I'm not saying anything, but you can't keep beating on somebody and doing something to somebody and they don't fight back. And I think that the road that we're headed down to right now, if this government don't stop, and if the homosexuals don't stop doing what they're doing in the schools to our kids, first of all, God is going to push back. That's who pushing back. But then he's going to allow the American people and Christians to stand up and fight this battle because the war is won. So I would caution this government to be very careful to stop, listen, and learn, because you're not going to keep pushing, and and expect these politicians and the gays pushing and they talking and laughing and they doing stuff to the American people know it's wrong. You can't keep him, because if you keep beating the slave, after a while, he gonna turn against you. And I'm telling these politicians and the gays, you're not going to be able to keep doing the New World Order. You're not going to be able to continue to do what you're doing, and God not commission his men and women to stand up and fight you back. You better be real careful, because God is still in control, brother.
You know, you mentioned this about pushing the gay stuff, and there is groups, gay groups now that are going to school boards,
Yes.
and they call them gays against groomers. Government has gotten so bad that the gay community is now not supporting what these schools and government's doing. They're against it. So it's getting that bad, you know.
Well, you know, and I have to say this to the gay community. All gays are not down with what's happening with this indoctrination in the schools. Because I know a lot of people who are gay, and we talk, and they say, you know what, we think it's wrong for this curriculum to be taught, that this was a life choice, and that our children shouldn't be indoctrinated. These are other gays saying that. And I know people don't want to hear it. The gays don't want to hear it, because they're the ones who are trying to push this crap on everybody. But there are gays who are saying, and they agree with straight people, that it shouldn't be in the schools, and that it should be a family situation where children learn about their sexuality. No drag queen should be reading to kindergartners. They shouldn't be learning about what lesbians are. Our children should be learning about math, science, and reading, and trying to be productive citizens in this society. But that's not what they're doing. They're trying to take our kids. They're trying to destroy this country. They've already changed and trying to say marriage is no longer between a man and a woman. And I'm just telling the American people, now's the time for us to stand up. If we don't stand up, it might be too late. So now, let us stand. Let us fight back. If we don't fight for ourselves, let us fight for our children. Steve, you got to get out of here.
Yeah, well, November 8th, that's your peaceful way to protest.
Yes.
When you go to vote November 8th, go to vote for what your conscience tells you to do. Not because of a party, but because of what's happening today. And you want to make change, November 8th today.
Well, folks, I want to thank you for tuning in, but I want to make an announcement for Mr. Binky, before Mr. Binky get off the show tonight. Folks, tonight will be Mr. Binky's last night in front of the camera. He's not going anywhere, but he's going to be going behind the scenes to do producing for the show. We will have a new second seat, and that'll be Miss LUCRETIA Hughes, that's been on the show for the last 3 or 4 days. She's coming in to side seat with me, and we're going to take the show to a whole nother level. So Miss LUCRETIA Hughes will be the second seat. Mr. Binky will go back to producing, and we're going to have him behind the scenes, but he can come in front of that camera anytime he gets ready. So, Bink, you know I'm going to miss you up here dropping that knowledge, right?
I'm going to be watching you. I'll be watching you.
So I want to thank you, bro, so much for being out here in the front with us. And like I said, anytime you want to, we can always pop it up. And you know, this is it's a heartfelt night. You know, we've been together for a while on the TV, and you've been bringing such good knowledge to the American people regarding the Constitution, wars, and all of that. So we're going to keep it going, and we know you'll be doing good research behind the scenes, and we'll keep giving the best that we can to the American people so that we can get out of this mess. Bink, we'll see you. I'll see you on Monday, but tomorrow, folks, we have a special announcement to make. TECN TV will cover the Donald Trump rally tomorrow. It's a Save the American rally in Robinson, Texas. Our television station will be there on the ground, and they will be interviewing politicians. They will be interviewing people, and we will be on as commentators. I was asked this morning, I'm new to the television station. I was asked this morning to come out and be an election commentator tomorrow. So I'll be one of the commentators for the television station tomorrow. That'll be 5 o'clock tomorrow, TECN. We're going to cover the Trump rally in Robson, Texas, and I'll be one of the commentators. And y'all know I'm going to call a spade a spade. If he bad, I'm going to talk about him. If he good, I'm going to talk about him. So y'all will get the truth right here tomorrow starting at 5 o'clock Central Time. And it's called the Save the American Rally. TECN will be out there. We'll be interviewing people live. You can catch the live stream, TECNTV.com. Please go there. Umar will be one of the commentators for the rally in Texas. And believe me, folks, you can call me if you got questions you want to ask. You'll be able to run it to me, and I'll ask the questions, and I'll put the questions to Mr. Trump or whoever that'll be taking questions from him, from us. So tune in tomorrow starting at 5 o'clock, TECNTV.com, and check us out. And let us ask those questions at the Trump rally. Those who hate Trump, y'all call my number, and I'll ask them the questions, and we'll put him on Front Street if that's what we got to do. So tomorrow, 5 o'clock from Robson, Texas, TECN TV will be hosting an election commentary, and I'll be one of the commentaries. Thank you, Mr. Bink, and we'll be seeing you on Monday. Folks, these are my last words. We can see. First, I want to just thank God for what he is doing with this television station. I want to thank him for allowing me to deliver messages to the masses of the people. And that's why I ask people to share it around, because we have to start using common sense anymore. We just can't allow the government to tell us what to do, because we can see that they do not have our best interest at hand. And so I'm talking to the American people and patriots across this country. What we have to do now is we have to put all our animosities to the side between blacks and whites and Hispanics and Asians. We have to think like Americans right now. And the American people are really suffering. We're in bad shape. We're getting ready to experience gas prices up to $8 and the economy not back on track. And this administration keep lying to us, saying things are good and that the job market is bright. But they're not telling us that the jobs that there's out there now are the jobs that people lost, over 10 million or so, who refused to take the jab, the experimental drug. To the American people, when will enough be enough? When will we stop this foolishness? When will we say no longer can we let them take our rights? We can't even wait anymore, because they're not going to stop. They're after our children. They're after our whole lifestyle. They're changing everything. And for what? Not for the good of the American people, but for a handful of people, just a handful of people who have become sadists. They hate God. They hate the American people. These same politicians who are implementing all this stuff, they don't have no love for us. They hate us. And that's why it's so imperative that I'm telling people across the country who listen to this show, please take your time, research these candidates. Look at what's happening to us already with the incumbents. Look at how they've done this country. Look how they've lied, cheated, and stole. And let us get new blood in. I'm an independent. I can tell you right now, I'm not voting for anybody that's Democrat. I would rather see Republicans in office where we got a chance to get this country back on track, back to marriage between a man and a woman, back to getting our schools under control, back to the American people in control of this government again. And when we get back to that, the first thing we need to do is we need to get God back in this country. So I'm letting the American people know right now, let us go to the polls. Let us take our country back. Let us save this country, save our rights, and more importantly, save our children. Y'all tune in tomorrow, TECN, for the election commentary at Trump, and check it out. Listen to what we're going to be questions we're going to ask him, and look at what's going to happen to the Republican Party and the Democratic Party in this election. God bless you, and peace.